busy program. We start our Thursday show with the infamous John Sterling.
Swung on and driven to deep left center. It is high. It is far. It is gone to tie the game. The Santino. He hits a two-run home run in the visitors' bullpen in left center. A mighty blast. A two-run home run. And the Yankees have tied the game at 5. There'll be an 0-2 to Stanton. Swung on and driven to deep left center. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. It's a game-winning bottom of the ninth. 2 out. Walk-off home run by Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo non si può stopparlo. He hits a 2-run blast, a Stantonian home run. And the Yankees have come all the way back. 5-0 down for a 7-5 victory in one of the great games of the year.
You didn't hear the Yankee win because our crack staff did not cut it properly, but you get the idea. Nice to have you with us on a busy afternoon as we talked about what's going on as far as the world of sports is concerned. Eddie and the crew, congratulations, Colin Schmeling. That a bit little later on as we chat to you about what's cooking on this Thursday afternoon program. NBA, of course, today, do a little draft later. We'll get your calls in. 888 Mad Dog 6 is your two-way sports talk telephone number and a great Sirius XM. And we'll do a little of that, and we'll spend a little time early on here today as far as the baseball is concerned. Draft night, NBA night, some soccer today we'll get into. So we got some things happening on this late June program as we take you, as far as we can up to the month of July. All right, we start here with the Yankees, who, listen, they are an absolute juggernaut, and they really are. I thought last night if there was a game they were going to lose, last night was the game. They were down 5-0. The young kid didn't have it in that fourth inning. They sort of clawed their way back into it because Felix Hernandez no longer has an out pitch and can't throw a ball over 90 miles an hour. He only could go 5 innings and 100 pitches. And so as a result of that, the Yankees kind of chipped away. Alex Colomé, the Yankees are familiar with him from his days in Tampa. Gary Sanchez ties it up in the 8th inning with a 2-run homer. Then, of course, you heard the John Sterling call on Stanton, who had a 2-out, 2-run, 2-strike home run to send the Yankee crowd home happy. 7 unanswered runs, 7-5 over the Mariners, who walked into Yankee Stadium having only lost 3 series all year. And you never would have thought that with Seattle. They lost a series in Detroit. They lost a series to the Angels and the Astros. And that is it. And now they, of course, after last night, now have lost a series to the Yankees. So on the heels of that, and it's really a punching bag kind of loss for Seattle. You wanted them to come in and aid, and with Paxton, their best pitcher, he, of course, the Canadian lefty who no-hit the Blue Jays earlier in the year, has got big stuff. Never healthy, but he's got big stuff. And what does he do in the bottom of the first today? He promptly gives up a pair of 2-run home runs, and it falls behind right out of the gate 4-0. So the Yankees hit a 2-run homer in the 8th inning to tie last night. Hit a 2-run homer by Stanton to win the game in the 9th last night. And then they start the game today with 4 runs before you blink an eye on 2 2-run home runs, and have put themselves in a scenario now as we play the mid-innings in this game where they lead 4-3 against the Mariners, looking to sweep and put themselves in great run. The Yankees, folks, let's start here, then we'll do Seattle. The Yankees are 40-13 over their last 53 games. Think about that for a minute. I mean, that is 1939-ish. I mean, that's when the Yankees were phenomenal. That's 1998-ish. I mean, that is as good as you can play. I mean, they are 40-13. I mean, that's not quite as good as last year's Dodgers team, but, I mean, that is an incredible run, and against tough competition. They've had series in that 53-game period. They've had a couple of series with the Angels. They played 7 games against Houston. They're obviously now playing Seattle. I mean, those are some tricky series. They had a series against the Red Sox. I mean, they played the Nationals 4 games. I mean, that is as good as you can play with that kind of record. They have been that dominant and that dynamic in this stretch. They were 9-9, and if you do the math, they're now 49-22. I believe that's right, which puts them, 20-something games over 500 going into this afternoon game today, in which they lead here in the seventh inning by a run. I mean, that is a superb scenario by the Yankees. They have a bushel full of young players who are already on the major league roster, especially offensively. Torres, Andujar, Judge, Sanchez. You throw Frazier, who's sort of bouncing back and forth to AAA. They got a couple of young pitchers. Harmon now looks like he's, Mariano Rivera as a starter. He's pitched very well. Strikes out a lot of people. They obviously have Severino, who's not that old. I mean, the kid last night's a young pitcher, had a good first start, not so good last night, so we'll leave him alone. But they got 2 or 3 young pitchers still in the minor leagues. I mean, the Yankees they have a bushel full of money. They are not over the luxury tax, so they're not going to have that number triggered. They have 1 million guys they can trade. They are in a very, very excellent position. They got a 4-game loss column lead in the Red Sox in the American League East. And the next series between the two teams is back at Yankee Stadium. And, that's usually a home field series where, the home team wins 2 of the 3 games. And the next time those two teams get together is the weekend before July 4th. And the games are in New York. So, the Yankees right now really, really have it going. You know about their bullpen? You know about Betances has found his niche again. Maybe that was one of the reasons they fired Girardi, who couldn't get Betances on track last year, where he was basically a no-show in the postseason. Right now, Betances looks like the best elite pitcher in baseball. He has resorted back to his dominant 8th-inning ways. You love Chapman. I mean, the Yankees right now really, really have it. I mean, listen, I don't like Chapman as a person. Hard to root for, but, Chapman got the 3 biggest outs I've ever witnessed as a sports fan. Those 3 outs in Cleveland after he had given up the Rajah Davis home run a couple of years ago with the Cubs, trying to battle back and win their first championship in 108 years. And he got 3 outs against the top of the order with, in a foreign ballpark where if the Cubs lost that game, it would have been an absolute mess, maybe getting their manager fired. And he got those 3 outs, included Santana, Lindor, and Kipnis. So from that standpoint, where the Indians were a bloop and a blast or just a blast, would have won a World Series. So, there's nothing much not to like as far as he is concerned. There is nothing much not to like about the Yankee team. They got a bunch of guys at AAA. Again, Cashman's a good GM. There's 2 things. They have a great second baseman. There's a couple things you would be worried about. One is their propensity to strike out, and you'd worry about them in a big series against a good pitching staff, a la Houston, by striking out. Whether they can manufacture some runs. And the Yankees get all their runs by home runs. I mean, Judge, Stanton, Sanchez. They hit Torres has got 14 home runs. They hit 1 million home runs. So from that perspective, you would be a little worried that they're a little too susceptible to the home run for their offense, and then they could strike out plenty. And against a big-time staff that throws hard and is crafty with experience, and Houston would be that kind of team, that maybe they will try to swing out of their shoes and sort of get themselves out. Happened a little bit last year against the Astros. So that's the one thing that would worry you a little bit. You got to be a little worried, not worried, but, you can't assume that Boone is going to make every right call in a big series. Listen, he's a young manager. He's handpicked by Cashman. You almost get the idea half the time that Cashman's making the decisions as far as the game operations are concerned. But he's a young manager. Boone can't call him in the 5th inning of Game 7. What do you think I should do here, Bry? And he could make a mistake in that kind of situation, which could hurt him. Managers over 162, there's not a lot for them to do. Throw the line. I can manage this Yankee team. There's just throw the lineup out, give them an occasional day off, utilize the bullpen, have Rothschild, the pitching coach, help me there. It's not a whole hell of a lot that Boone's got to do, to be fair. And I like Boone, but, ESPN, he's been on 1 million times. But let's be honest. You don't got to be Miller Huggins to manage this Yankee team. But in a postseason series where he's going to have to, figure out a way if his team is slumping and a little tight and, swinging for the fences and not connecting. He's going to have to be in a situation where he's going to have to be, somewhat creative to score some runs. Plus, he's going to have to make some bullpen decisions because that's a big edge to have over Houston. I mean, those are a couple things you think about. And the Yankees could use a secondary starter, which right now is not on the market because DeGrom's not getting traded to the Yankees. Or they could use a second starter. But, I mean, overall, the Yankees just are a tremendous, and they're going to win the division by 10 games. I said that on March 1st. I will not back away. 10 games might be a little strong, but 8 games. The Red Sox don't have a great 8th inning. I don't trust their 8th inning at all. I don't trust the Red Sox bottom of the lineup. I don't love the Red Sox starters after Price and Sale. I don't even like Price. So I think the Red Sox have a lot more holes than the Yankees do. No Pedroia. Who knows when he's going to play again. So I think the Yankees are going to win this division going away, which would then put Boston with Houston and the Yankees with Cleveland. If providing, of course, Boston can beat Seattle, if that's the wild card team. And then the Yankees would play the Red Sox in the next round because obviously they'd be the 4th seed. And although Cleveland would have a worse record, so the Red Sox, since they win a division, would be in that scenario against the Yankees. So the Yankees would have to beat the Red Sox in Houston to get to a World Series. But, I think right now they're going to have an excellent chance to do that. I think the Yankees Houston winner, which I think is going to be an epic series, which I think in a lot of ways could be determined by home field. Remember last year when they played in the ALCS on FS1, so if Joe was following, that means Torrey, the NL series, and he was in a, let's say he was in LA for an off night, and he wanted to watch Yankee baseball against the Astros. Joe and he was in his hotel room to Four Seasons, and he flipped around. He couldn't find FS1. Joe had to get his pajamas on, put a pair of slippers on, get his reading glasses off his head, and get to a bar so he could watch the game. Last year, home field, of course, was won by every team, by the home team in every scenario. Houston won 4 at home. They lost 3 at Yankee Stadium. This year, I think the Yankees are going to get home field, which means the Astros are going to have to rely on that bullpen a little bit, which, they don't want to do against the Yankees. And the Astros, I don't care what they say, have been a little rattled at Yankee Stadium. 3 games last year in the postseason was not pretty, and they have lost 2 out of 3 this year at Yankee Stadium with that Yankee power in the late innings. The only guy who's not rattled there was Verlander. Everybody else got a little rattled. I mean, then Keiko pitched well in the postseason, but you get the idea. So the Yankees, to me, and the winner of the Yankee-Astros series will win a championship. It's almost like Golden State and Houston in the NBA. You knew the winner of that would beat Boston or beat Cleveland on the same kind of feel with the AL with the Astros. I know it's baseball, a little different, but it's the same kind of feel. So the Yankees right now are flying against my will, but the Yankees just are a tremendous, tremendous team. This is nothing much they can't do. Again, strikeouts maybe, we'll see. Big pitching staff could cause them a little trouble. But the only one that I see that could do that in the American League of the Astros, we'll have to wait and see. Now, as far as Seattle is concerned, Seattle's consistency is something to marvel at. We all know no Cano, and they've hung in there pretty well, very well. Losing Cano, who cannot play in the postseason, don't forget. Cano comes back in August, and he cannot play a postseason game, series, you name it. So that's going to be weird the way they're going to have to do that. They're going to have to be in a situation. The Yankees now play bottom 7 up 4-3. And the Yankees, the Mariners are going to be in a situation where they're going to need Cano to get to the postseason, maybe, quite frankly. But then once they get to the postseason and play a wild card game, because they're not winning the division, they're going to have to do it with Cano in street clothes. So that's the little teeth they put into the steroid scenario where, if you get caught, you don't get a chance to play postseason. That hurts Cano. And Seattle is trying to break this incredible slide where they are the only professional sports team out of the Big Four. Hockey, NBA, and the NFL. Buffalo last year made it in the NFL postseason. That has not made the playoffs. Had the longest drought. Seattle would love that since 2001, which ironically enough, they got crushed by the Yankees in the ALCS in 5 games. And they won 116 games that year. I mean, Seattle should make it, though, this year. I know the Angels are still sitting there. The Mariners have 5 more series with Anaheim. 3 of the 5, 4 more series with Anaheim, and 3 of the 4 are in LA. They got a 6-7 game lead right now, but they are going to be finished with the Red Sox after this week. They only have 1 more series with the Yankees, so you would think they'd be in pretty decent shape. The Angels are done with both those teams too, but you would think they'd be in pretty good shape to hold on and get that wild card spot. And Jerry DiPoto will go out there and do everything he can. They want to make the playoffs, and he'll do everything he can, even if it's just one game, to get in. But I'm worried about Seattle. I don't like what I saw here in these last 2 days. Again, yesterday is a horrendous defeat, 7 unanswered runs. Felix Hernandez can't break a pane of glass. Paxton, who we all revved, waxed poetic about how good he was, live arm, everything else, goes out there today after a horrendous loss and gives up 4 runs before you blink an eye, 2 2-run bombs. And the Yankees have a bunch of right-hand hitters, so a lefty there is a problem in that little bandbox in that tiny little ballpark on 161st Street. I mean, that's a Little League field, Yankee Stadium, but it is very disappointed with Seattle. Now, again, it's tricky. They've been very consistent. They've answered the bell against a lot of teams. They've had a lot of road games, a lot of East Coast trips. I understand all that, but if you come to Yankee Stadium, can you win a game? And can you be in a situation where you can figure out a way? You've had a great start to the season and everything else, but, this is the deep end of the pool now, and Seattle came into New York, and it looks like they're going to drown. Concerns me. Maybe Eddie can figure out a way to get Yankee win with the Sterling call on Stanton. We'll come back and maybe give you that when we get your calls in on a busy day here on Mad Dog Unleashed.